There's something that happens to certain people early in life. Something quiet. Something that leaves a mark most people never talk about. Because most people never even notice it's there. You were there, in the room. You spoke. Maybe you raised your hand, or shared an idea, or tried to be part of the conversation. And somehow, the room moved on without you. Like the air absorbed your words before anyone could hear them. Like you were present, but not quite visible. If you've ever felt that, if you know exactly what it's like to be overlooked, talked over, or simply not chosen, then this video is for you. Most people will never understand what it actually does to a person to grow up being ignored. They assume it just hurts and fades. But what they don't realize, what even you may not have realized, is that being ignored didn't just wound you, it shaped you. It built something inside you that most people spend their entire lives trying to develop and never quite reach. By the end of this video, you're going to see yourself differently. Not with pity, not with sadness, but with a kind of quiet recognition. The feeling of finally understanding why you are the way you are, and why that is far more valuable than the world ever told you. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the most important thing you've learned about yourself in a long time. The first quality is this: you developed an extraordinary ability to observe. When you're ignored as a child, or even as an adult, something instinctive kicks in. You stop trying to be the loudest voice in the room, and you start watching. You watch how people interact. You notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes. You pick up on the tension underneath small talk. You read the room in ways that other people simply can't, because they were never trained to. Life trained you. Psychology calls this heightened social perception, an almost unconscious attunement to the emotional and behavioral cues of others. In children who were frequently overlooked, this develops early as a kind of emotional survival skill. When no one is paying attention to your needs, you learn to pay very close attention to everything else. Think about it. You've probably walked into a situation before and just felt something was off, before anyone said a word. While everyone else was laughing or talking normally, something in you quietly registered a tension, a sadness, a lie. You may have dismissed it, told yourself you were imagining things, but you weren't. That's not anxiety. That's not overthinking. That is a finely tuned human instrument, built through years of learning to navigate spaces where you were invisible. You didn't just survive being ignored, you became remarkably perceptive. And in a world where most people are too absorbed in themselves to truly see others, that makes you rare. The second quality is something even deeper. You learned the difference between connection and performance. Most people never question whether their relationships are genuine. They move through life collecting social currency, followers, friends, invitations, without ever stopping to ask whether any of it is real. But you were forced to ask that question early. When you're ignored, when you're left out, when you watch others form bonds that seem to exclude you, you start to understand instinctively that not all connection is the same. You stop wanting to be liked by everyone and start longing for something more meaningful, something honest. Something that doesn't require you to perform a version of yourself just to keep someone's attention. Psychology suggests that people who experience early social exclusion often develop what researchers call a deeper need for authentic belonging. Not just surface-level acceptance, but genuine mutual understanding. And while this can feel lonely, it is also profoundly clarifying. You've probably noticed that small talk exhausts you, that you'd rather have one real conversation than 20 shallow ones. That when someone truly sees you, truly listens, it means everything to you because you know how rare it actually is. That isn't weakness. That isn't being antisocial or difficult or too sensitive. That is a deeply evolved sense of what real human connection actually looks like. You refuse to settle for less, not because you're demanding, but because you've always known the difference. The third quality. You developed an inner world that most people will never access. Here is something no one tells children who are ignored. When the outer world doesn't make space for you, you build an inner one. You began to think deeply, not just about your own life, but about ideas, about meaning, about how things work and why people behave the way they do. You spent time in your own mind, maybe through reading or daydreaming or writing or just lying quietly and letting your thoughts move. While other kids were forming social hierarchies and chasing approval, you were somewhere else entirely, somewhere interior, somewhere profound. Psychology has long recognized a connection between solitude and cognitive depth. People who spend significant time alone, especially in childhood, often develop stronger capacities for abstract thinking, creativity, and emotional complexity. The mind, when given quiet, doesn't go empty, it goes deeper. You might have been called a dreamer or been told you were too in your head. Maybe teachers said you were distracted, or family members wondered why you were so quiet. But what they were actually witnessing was a mind building itself, layer by layer, into something extraordinary. Your inner world isn't a sign that you were broken. It's evidence that when the outside world didn't give you enough, you created your own. And what lives inside you now, all those thoughts, all that depth, all that quiet complexity, that is yours. No one can take it, and very few people will ever have it. The fourth quality may be the hardest one to hear, because it might be the one you've most tried to bury. You became someone who carries extraordinary empathy, sometimes to the point of pain. When you are ignored, when you know what it feels like to be invisible, something happens to your heart. You become almost incapable of doing that to someone else. You notice the person standing alone at the party. You feel the weight in someone's voice when they're pretending to be fine. You go out of your way to make people feel included, because you know, at a cellular level, what it feels like when no one does. This is empathy that was forged in experience, not theory. You don't feel for people from a safe distance. You feel with them, inside their reality, sometimes before they even express it. Research in psychology consistently shows that individuals who experienced social exclusion early in life often score significantly higher in empathic accuracy, meaning they are better at understanding what others are feeling, even without being told. The pain of being unseen created in you an almost instinctive impulse to truly see others. But here's what you need to hear. This empathy, as beautiful as it is, can also make life heavy. You may absorb other people's pain. You may carry things that aren't yours. You may find it impossible to walk away from someone who is suffering, even when it costs you your own peace. That is not a flaw in your character. It's a sign that your heart was never hardened by the things that hardened others. It stayed open. In a world that rewards toughness and rewards performance, you remained genuinely, vulnerably, powerfully human. That is not something to apologize for. That is something to protect. And now, the fifth quality, the one that quietly underlies all the others. You never lost yourself. This one takes a moment to understand because, on the surface, it might not feel true. You might feel like years of being ignored did change you, made you quieter than you wanted to be, more hesitant, more uncertain of your own worth. And in some ways, that's real. Invisibility leaves marks. But here is the deeper truth. Many people who are never ignored, who are always praised and chosen and celebrated, they build their entire identity on that external approval. They need to be seen to know who they are. And the moment the applause stops, they collapse. You were never given that scaffolding. So you had to build something sturdier, something internal, a quiet, private sense of self that exists even when no one is watching. A set of values you hold, not because they're popular, but because somewhere along the way you decided they mattered. A voice inside you that, even when the world went quiet, kept speaking. Psychology refers to this as internal locus of control, the ability to find meaning, direction, and identity from within, rather than from outside validation. And it is one of the most powerful predictors of long-term psychological resilience. You didn't develop this because life was easy. You developed it because it was the only thing that kept you whole when you felt like you were disappearing. You were ignored, but you were never erased. And here, right here, is the reframe I want you to sit with. Every person who has ever overlooked you, every room that moved on without you, every moment where you felt invisible, none of it diminished you. All of it, quietly and without your knowledge, was building you into someone with rare perception, into someone who craves real connection, into someone with a rich and complex inner life, into someone with a heart wide enough to hold other people's pain, into someone who knows who they are, even in the silence. The world was never ignoring someone ordinary. It was overlooking someone exceptional. It just wasn't wise enough yet to recognize what it had. If you've made it to the end of this video, if any part of this felt like it was speaking directly to you, I want you to know something. You don't need to explain yourself to people who were never quiet enough to hear you. Your depth, your empathy, your inner world, your resilience, these are not consolation prizes. They are the real thing. And if you'd like to keep exploring the quieter, deeper side of who you are, subscribe to this channel. Every video here is made for the people the world tends to overlook, because you deserve to finally be seen.